Yo, what up, Lemons? How we doing? I left my water downstairs. Hold on one second, y'all. Let's rock it. Let me go grab my water downstairs. I filled it up and then left it there. 1 second. I know you guys could hear that. Okay, water acquired. We're ready to go now. How's everybody doing? Welcome in, welcome in. This is a little special build. This is going to be my first ready-to-ship system. We're going to be, you know, if it goes well, we're going to start adding more of these to the website. Just with how, sorry, I'm a little out of breath walking up and down the stairs. Jeez, I need to work out. Just with how volatile the PC market has become, especially with GPUs and RAM and SSDs. I think we're going to move away a little bit from the pre-configured builds, the pre-builds on the website, and start doing more ready-to-ship systems. That way, I have control over exactly what everything costs, and then also allows for people to get their systems quicker. So you'll still be able to do custom builds, but we might move away a bit for now from pre-builds. What up, Tim? How we doing? Chess Bacon, what's up? How we doing? What up, what up? How's the TikTok chat doing? How we doing? All right, let's talk about today's build. It's gonna be a good one. What up, Richard? Code Lemons for free shipping. Wrong. Wrong. Don't ever use Lemons code. 1, because it doesn't exist, and 2, it will get you the worst shipping experience of your life. It was terrible. It was absolutely awful. I can't believe how poorly UPS handled that. Michigan Fun and Guns, what's up? How we doing? All right, so let's talk about today's build. So this is going to be ready to ship number 1. It's going to be our first ever ready to ship system. It's got a Ryzen 5 9600X, 1 terabyte SSD. We've got 16 gigs of fast DDR5 RAM, an 8 gigabyte 9060 XT. Got a nice little 240 millimeter AIO, MSI Mag B850, or sorry, MSI Gaming Plus Wi-Fi B850. Got an 850 watt power supply. We've got some of these Hydrus extension cables. These are going to make the cable management and just the cables inside the case look super nice. We got one for the GPU and one for the motherboard, hopefully. They both look like motherboard cables, but I know I ordered one of each, so fingers crossed on that. And then this is all going to go into the Thermaltake 270 view. AM5 build, Leroy. AM5. Oh, Scott Sires, what's up, dude? Did you change your name, or have I just not seen you on YouTube? Yeah, dude, Asus Prime, so good. So good. What up, Bowman? How we doing? All right, should we start the build? We've talked about it. We all know what's going in it. Let's start it. What up, Rocket Man? How we doing? Got that motherboard through a Newegg deal a couple weeks ago, so did I. Does the screen size affect the frame rates? The screen size, not necessarily. An ultra wide versus a standard 16:9 will affect the frame rates, just because it means there's a lot more pixels. But in general, if you have a 1080p screen that's 20 inch versus 32 inch, it's gonna be the same amount of pixels it has to render. It's just the pixels are not as small. So no, unless you're talking about an ultra wide. In that case, yes. What really matters is resolution. That's what's really going to affect your performance. So like 1080p versus 1440 versus 4K. No, Lukey, this is going to be our first ever ready to ship system. So I mentioned it at the beginning, but because of how volatile SSD and RAM and even now GPU prices are becoming, I'm probably going to be moving away a little bit from the pre-builds on my website, because the name is more for SEO purposes. They're really pre-configured builds. They're not already built. I don't already have all of the components for all of those. So in order to, make sure that I don't have to update prices like every other day or verify that everything's in stock, with how volatile the market is, I'm going to start doing some ready to ship systems so that these are pre-built. They're going to be tested. We're going to run tests in some games so that those like FPS values are going to be in there. That way customers know exactly what they're getting and they will be able to order it and it'll ship right away. And then, then I can, maintain profitability. I don't have to worry about pricing changes all the time, and customers can get their PCs faster, Johnny 5 alive. What? I've had this channel for a while, still have my personal. Oh, okay. Do I have my AMD Ryzen gaming PC? My personal one? My personal PC is still on an AMD CPU. Just went back to look at the deal, and it was a huge savings. It was like almost $200 because you got a free this MSI Mag Core Liquid 240 that came with the bundle for free. It came with a very slow kit of RAM, which I have over there. I don't know what I'm going to use it for. It's like CL38 6000 or something, so it's not great, but it's RAM. And then it came with the CPU. And the motherboard all for it was like $200 off, something like that. Yeah, RAM pricing supposedly has stabilized overseas. Like I saw that in Germany, it's been stable throughout February. So hopefully that happens here. Who knows? Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the idea. Ready to ship, and yeah, hopefully. I can pick some good configurations that customers are looking for. I started with this one because it's a budget-friendly system. So, probably will attract more buyers. But I have some of the 9850X3D CPUs, so I probably would do one with one of those with an RTX 5080 or something in them. But yeah, we'll see. Is it worth it to upgrade from the 7700 XT to the 9600 XT? It might be worth it, but here's what I would say. It's probably an upgrade if you get the 16 gig version of the 9060 XT in terms of performance, but I don't know what you consider worth it for $450-ish. That's the hard part to answer. Yes, you will get better performance, but will it be worth it? That's a tough one to answer, Yeah, RAM prices are insane. I hate it too. I spent over $1,000 on, I think I spent $1,800 on 6 kits of RAM just to have some in my inventory. It's crazy. It's time. I need a PC. I want a 7800 X3D and 9070 XT. We can do that. Hit me up, dude. Let's do it. 7800 X3Ds are still pretty readily available last time I checked. And the 9070 XTs have not gone up in price insanely, not nearly as much as some of the Nvidia equivalents. So yeah, we can definitely do it. Intel Arc B580 for a build, and I have no clue why others bash on it so much. It's a really good card, especially nowadays. They've improved their drivers a lot. When it first came out, especially if you were trying to do it in a really budget system, which is kind of what it was priced around, they did not perform super well, but they have gotten a lot better. So yeah, I think the B850 is definitely a really good card now. Oh, Oop, there we go. Yeah, 12 gigs of VRAM for $299. Yep. I actually have a B850 just sitting around that I've not done anything with. I need to, maybe that'll be my next ready to ship system or something. All right, 1 terabyte SSD. This is a Patriot P400 Lite. Here we go. What up, Osvaldo? How we doing? Okay, there we go. We got our 1 terabyte in. Let's get our 16 gigs of RAM in here. There it is. We probably need to add some mounting hardware for our AIO, so let's do that real quick. How's everybody on TikTok doing? Welcome in, welcome in. Yeah, 1 terabyte is normally the primary. You know, some people don't want like another SSD, like they just want like 2 terabytes total. And sometimes we'll just do a single 2 terabyte SSD in there. But 1 terabyte is kind of the standard these days. Now that pricing's got insane, I mean, you could push for a 512 gigabyte, but it's just like not a lot of storage considering how much storage games take up these days, you know? All right, I think that's all of the mounting hardware that comes in here. Ish, okay. Is the motherboard laying flat on the mouse pad? Is that fine? Yes, it's laying flat on the mouse pad. I build every PC like this. I mean, if you don't have like something soft or whatever to put it on, you can always put it onto put it onto the box that it comes in. That's a good safe way to do it. Success of the job interview. I just had it literally like an hour ago. It went well. You know, I don't know. Yeah, that was like a initial screening interview. So if I make it through that, there will be a further interview. Why is that stuck on there? There will be a further like interview in the process. But I think it went really well. So, you know, fingers crossed. All right, so we just got to put these guys in there. They're going to mount up like that. Actually, let's see this thing. Let's see this thing. Oh, actually, those bolt directly into that AIO. So we don't put these guys into here. These are going to get bolted into the CPU cooler block, and then they get bolted into this afterwards. So we don't actually need to put those in now. We just need to take these brackets off. If I told you my specs, can you tell me what would be best to upgrade for more FPS? Yes, if you could also give me like an idea of how much you want to spend, that would also be super helpful. Do you think the Yeston Wifi GPUs are risky to get? I don't think so. I think they just aren't popular here. I think they just don't sell a lot of stuff here. But I believe they're a pretty like respectable brand outside of the US. 5068 gig, i5 14400F, 16 gigs DDR5, gets 70-ish FPS in Rust. What do you upgrade for more? Oh, that's tough. Because like CPU and RAM are going to be fine. Realistically, the best thing to upgrade is your GPU right now. And for 350, I mean, if you can spend 350 plus whatever you can sell your 5060 for, then you might be in a pretty good spot. So if you can sell your 5060, even if you do it afterwards and apply that money to your $350, then you could get either a 5060 Ti 8 gig, or you could get you would likely be able to get a 9060 XT 16 gig. You might be able to find a 5060 Ti 16 gig in that price range, and that would boost your frames a ton, like a ton. That would be my suggestion for that system. Okay, got everything on there. Let's get the motherboard into the case, shall we? And this is our case for today. The Thermaltake View 270. All right, we need to get stuff out of the back too. Are you playing at 1440, I assume? 1440p? (1080p) low settings, really? I would take a look at, like, you can YouTube 5060 versus 5060 Ti 16 gig on like YouTube, and you can likely find a comparison even if it's not with your CPU. But I would think that it'll get you above 100. It's pretty significantly more powerful than the 5060. All right. Put this bad boy in here. Gotta move those wires a little bit. Come on. Okay, make sure those wires aren't caught behind anything. There we go. That's in there. Yeah, you're welcome, Lixinator. I probably am not saying that right, and I'm sorry. Some more zip ties, because I never have enough zip ties. It's a joke. I always have too many. I have bundles of zip ties. What up, Ronan? How we doing? All right. Let's get some bolts out here. All right, I need to find the bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There we go. All for views. Thank you for joining in. Lixinator with the follow. Appreciate it, dude. Alrighty, what's everybody up to today? Happy Tuesday. It's very tough for me to keep up with what day of the week it is when I'm not currently employed. I'm not gonna lie. If I don't have something on the calendar, I might not know what day it is. Luckily today I did have something on the calendar, so I knew what day it is. Back on a stupid, weird, modified second shift schedule. Ugh. I used to work super early first shift. I had to be working at 5 a.m. in the first job I got out of school. It was not ideal. Pretty good over here. Quick question. I have a Thermaltake FW360 AIO, and the LCD screen keeps turning off. Pump and fans are working, just not the screen. And I assume you've like checked the connection on both sides just to make sure that it's like fully seated in the screen and fully seated into the motherboard. Also, Do you have like other stuff connected into like the same USB on your motherboard, or like all the USBs filled on your motherboard, you know? All right, motherboard's bolted down. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want it plugged into a hub or a splitter. Ideally, you want it connected in directly. All right, let's get Lazy Susan out here. Keep those from getting tucked underneath. All right. Ooh, that's bright. Might need to adjust the lighting on that camera. But that's a later me problem, not a right now me problem. Okay, let's get our HD audio plugged in here. Cool. Let's get our USB 3. Oh, it's down there. It's not up here, it's right there. Tight turn. Once it's plugged in, it won't be so tight, but. Jeez. There we go. Okay, USB-C, got this one right there. That one was a little bit higher. So we're gonna run that one up through the air. Turn this back around so you guys can see what I'm doing. I checked the USB-C connection and the USB 3 header, and they're both right. They're both tight. Okay. Yeah, if you have it directly connected in, there's a couple things I would check before considering like doing an RMA and getting the screen and the cable replaced. First, check the Thermalright software and make sure there isn't a firmware update, and then check for potentially updating or maybe reinstalling the driver for like your USB controller. You can do that through the device manager. If you've done both of those things and still not working, then yeah, you might have to RMA the screen. You know, sometimes things don't work. Oh, that too, yeah. You usually have 2 USB headers, so if you need to swap to another one, you can try that. Good call, good call. How much does this cost to build? Like, how much does this PC cost? I think it's gonna be retailing for like $15.30 plus shipping. Whenever I pulled up the software, it doesn't register or show up in the app. Oh, so yeah, that sounds like there's a hardware failure or connection failure. Yeah, try putting it in a different connector on the motherboard and see if that solves anything. It's definitely worth trying. Make sure you do it when the computer's off. What up, Zach? That too. Yeah, you could uninstall and reinstall the software. You know, maybe it's just a bug. Maybe it's a software bug. Or like maybe it didn't install a driver properly or something, or firmware properly. €500 or €600. I mean, you can't really do that well in US, at least not with all new components. I don't sell anything with used components. It's too much of a liability. You're welcome, Ronan. This is why we love having a good community, man. People think of more things than I can think of on the fly. You know, I would get there eventually, but, you know, it's nice to have everybody here. Nice spec. Thank you. You're selling pretty much the same PC right now? Nice. Yeah, I wanted to try and keep this as like budget friendly as possible. So that's why we went, and I had the 16 gig kit already. So that's why we went with 16 on this one. 32 is definitely nice to have though. All right. So I know we have at least one RGB header. Got one on top. We got one down here at the bottom. Actually, we have another one down there. All right, we got 3 RGB headers on this bad boy. I made sure to double check that we had 2, but we do have 3. Come on. There we go. What? There we go. It's just a little tight. Okay. So we got the RGB connected in for all these pre-installed fans. Let's get the fans themselves plugged in. Good Lord, look at all this extra cable. In what world do we need that much cable? Someone explain that to me? Why do my cables need to reach to my other computer? It was a good community, but now you're here. Ooh, self-burn. No one's buying these days. I mean, I'm still getting PC sales. Like, still come in. Early this year was actually really busy, which was already after Ramageddon had started, but it's gotten a little quiet, you know, in the last few weeks. But you know, keep going. You started any AM4s again, or just sticking with AM5? I did do an AM4 for a customer recently. The last PC I built was an AM4 system. Yeah, it just kind of depends on their budget. Okay. But yeah, I mean, even AM4 stuff is not... It does save you some money, but it doesn't save as much money as I would like. Like, the DDR4 RAM has gone up in price in general. And... Oh, there we go. Put on the outside. And even some of the AM4 CPUs have kind of gone up in price. Like the 5600 XT is like over like $150. Obviously, there's like the 5500 if you want to go really budget, but it's not as great of a gaming CPU for those like kind of mid-budget systems. I use that term loosely because that could mean anything depending on who it is. Laptop for engineering or college. Ooh. So traditionally I would have said just go for a good mid-level gaming laptop, but these newer laptops have pretty solid iGPUs. I would do a little bit of research to see if like the new Intel Core Ultras have a strong enough iGPU to run engineering software like CAD and stuff. If not, then maybe look at a used, like find a used Pro Series laptop that someone's selling. Those things, like like my old one for work had, like an RTX 8 generation discrete GPU, and that thing was killer. And companies, when they're done using them, sell them for very, very cheap compared to what they would be new. So I would look into that. Look at this. Just look at all this. So much freaking cable. At least a zip tie down here. Spent about 3 months grabbing up deals on AM4 parts for 2 identical builds with the 5800 XT and 5060. That's not bad at all. Yeah, it kind of all depends on when you were able to buy it, for sure. I think what we're gonna do, if there's enough space, I might just run these all the way up. And just run these all the way up along here. I just don't know if there's enough space for that. No, I think we'll run them back on themselves. Okay, there's that. This one will probably end up either clipping this one or redoing it, depending on how long the CPU power cable is, but that's at least there to just kind of keep it in place for now. All right, let's get some power cables in here, huh? Let's do it. We're gonna start with at least one of our extension cables. We can't do both of them because the GPU's not in. He has RAM, get him! No! What up, Darwin? I'm doing good. How are you? San Diego, I'm located in Idaho. All right, so this is our GPU power cable. Cool. It's got RGB on it. Love that. These have very subtle RGB on them, but they're gonna look real nice. All right, let's get our motherboard one. Yeah, the MSI motherboard looks pretty nice, especially for a very budget-friendly one. People building new, gotta remember with the Ryzen 5 5500 grade CPU is only Gen 3 PCIe. Yeah, that is definitely tough. G-Man, this is gonna have a 9060 XT 16 gigabyte. Or sorry, 8 gigabyte, 8 gigabyte. And AM5. I'm hoarding the AM5. Come and get me. What up, Seth? How are you doing? Where's the end of this stuff? 9060 XT low-key, only GPU suffers from bandwidth for some reason. Interesting. All right, so this guy should just plug in like so. Where does the RGB connect on this thing? It comes with an RGB header. Oh, there it is. Okay, I see it. So this is gonna look super clean, you guys. Look at this. So you just pop that in on there. Just like that. Pull your little plastic bit off. And that's how clean that looks. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Here, I'll show it on the front so you can see it better. So you get that just nice, clean, just one solid cable coming out. Can you build one for $12? Sadly, no. All right. So this guy, we should be able to just use one of these. So this has two things on it here, right? Oh, that header is really, never mind. I guess we have to use two. So, connect this into this guy. Just like that, and it's gonna run down here. And this guy will run in down here to our other RGB header, and then we'll connect in the GPU one, which we can do right now just so that it's easier. We can plug it in right away. Personally, I put the cooler on first before mounting the motherboard in? No. Never. Never. I just don't think this is long enough. It's not gonna be long enough to reach to the other one and reach the motherboard. So we got it like this. We could run this directly to the motherboard, but we also have this guy here. So we can make these match up with the RGB fans. Put them on the same channel, just like that. So then we'll run this to our GPU power cable extension. Yeah, even DDR4 prices have jumped. What up, Sean? I'm doing good, man. How are you? Yeah, 1200 maybe. What up, Afghoul? You got me. I never touched AIOs. That's why I said that. No, I mean, you could on some, but like it would make when that's here, you can't really get the motherboard into place sometimes if your radiator is already up there, you know. So I prefer to do it this way. I mean, there are multiple different ways you can put a computer together. This is just my preferred method. My pro tip is to connect the CPU power before installing AIO. Now that is a pro tip, and that is definitely what I do. I usually get the motherboard in completely, or the power supply in completely before I mount the AIO, because yeah, getting those power cables in there, even with like with a tower air cooler, like half the time I'm like, man, I wish I would have put this CPU power cable in before I even installed the motherboard. Because sometimes it gets a little crazy. No crazy. There's bolts in here somewhere, I'm sure of it. It's got zip ties and cable ties. More zip ties. More zip ties. There's the bolts. Now that all the other stuff's out, I can see them. Here we go. Get our cables out here. Get our power supply out here. The Assassin is huge. Yep. Yep. I've learned that lesson multiple times, but I do it every time anyways. Just makes for better content, you know? What the heck? There we go. Okay, my phone is going off like crazy right now. All right. Power cables that we need. Hold on, I'm gonna check my phone real quick. Discord link doesn't work? Great. All right, I'm good. Yes, my business email is just build@redneckengineer.com. You can find that directly on my website too. There's a contact form. All right, CPU power, we need that. Don't need that. Motherboard power, need that. There's a PCIe. Is there a PCIe without a splitter? No, it doesn't really matter because we have an extension. All right, that's all we need. The bracket was hitting the heat pipe, so the only way I could get the cooler into the holes was by rotating at 90 degrees. Ugh. I mean, hot air up isn't the end of the world, to be honest. Like that's kind of the way air wants to flow. So when I had the 6700, I had the Hyper 212 Evo cooler. Packaging said it was AM4 compatible. After the motherboard came in, the bracket was too narrow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. Got our CPU power cable in there. All right, we can route this down here. The whole layout dimensions are exactly the same between AM4 and AM5. They are. Oh, that's a 6700 though. That's an old. Dude, it's so nice. My my moderator, Richard, he was in here earlier. I don't know if he's still in here. He suggested it, and I was like, "You are the man," because this thing is incredible. What up, Olivier? Olivier? What up, Beard? How we doing? All right, he is a genius. Temps are fine at least, but I had the Ryzen 280X Matrix Platinum, so it was really hard to mount the cooler in. Oh. Andy, what's up? Gosh, my heater just turned on up here. It's so hot. Turn it off, I'm gonna die. Okay, got that in there, CPU power. Ever tried the Lee & Lee SUP 01? I haven't tried that case yet. I really want to. It's really cool looking. That one makes me a little bit nervous about shipping, but it's such a cool looking case. All right, so got that. Get our GPU power going. This is a decent sized GPU, so we should be able to run it down to that opening. So that's gonna go that way. Let's do it here. Okay, motherboard power in. Cool. Then we gotta get our CPU power in here. Put it in the closest spot just because it tends to be a little short on some of these. Okay. Hey, don't plug in the PCI cable into the CPU. Luckily, these ones are the same. CPU, PCIe are the same. They share it. So you can interchange them however you want. I mean, that's how a lot of the modern power supplies are, but there are some that are not like that. Should I get a used 6800 XT or a brand new 3060? I think the 6800 XT outperforms the 3060. Just make sure you verify that the 6800 XT works before you buy it. Unless it's like eBay or something where you can return it if it doesn't work. Ava Reddit, thank you for the follow. Yeah, it's the Asia Horse 24 pin. It's pretty cool. Came in on the good part, wire management. That's right. Deep Cool CL6600 is pretty cool. Comes with the CPU water cooler. You can't buy Deep Cool in the US. Deep Cool is banned in the US. I love their products. I used them a lot before they got banned. But yeah, they've been banned since 2024. So sadly, you cannot use. My neighbor, he cannot afford. Someone give me some DDR5. Just join the Discord server. Hey, let's go. Dealing with micro stutters on your high-end PC right now. What's in your system? Yeah, sorry, I can't give anyone DDR5. It's basically like gold right now. The 5060 OC is way better. Yeah, but pricing isn't going to be the same. You want a CH160, the Deep Cool case? Better get a DDR4 instead, because DDR5 is too much money. I know, right? At least ask for something reasonable. Jeez. Kidding. Kidding. All right. So we got all that stuff plugged in. Got our GPU power cable out here. Let's get our AIO installed. Let's do that. I know, dude. Deep Cool is freaking the best. They made such good quality products at really reasonable prices. Had really good, like in my experience, they had really good support. I had nothing bad to say about Deep Cool. All right, so we're taking off the Intel brackets, putting on the AMD brackets. If they'll fit. This side is like, it's got like a burr on it or something. Come on. Here we go. Okay, put the other ones off. Oh, they have autocorrect. I have 5068 gig. Should I switch to a 9060 XT or wait to upgrade to a 9070 XT? If you got the 9060 XT 16 gigabyte, it's probably worth it. But you already have an okay card. I would probably save up for the 9070 XT if you really want to see a big difference in terms of performance, you know, if you're already going to try and spend money on upgrades. The 9060 XT is a solid GPU, though. Now we have Sudoku, or whatever their shadow company is named. 7700 XT 12 gig or 9060 XT 16 gig. I bought both because I was undecided, but one of them I'm going to sell. I would look up some YouTube comparisons. Yeah, I think Trump did that. Well, that was before he was president. So, I don't think he did it necessarily. 2024. It was like mid-2024, so I don't think it was him. Good thing I live in Canada. Yeah, I know, right? Reasonable? DDR3. NVMe are much better right now. Yeah, they have not skyrocketed in price nearly as much as RAM has, thankfully. Okay. Got those in there. Pull some plastic off the fans. Love PC as much as everyone in here. Yeah. $9850 X3D Asus X870A. It could be your RAM, but also there have been some issues with Asus recently. Usually, most of them have been with like actually frying people's CPUs, so hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, I would do a stability test on your CPU and RAM and stuff, and make sure it's working properly. Using your own Intel build RAM, so it's XMP. There you go. Yeah, that's probably part of it. There might be an Expo setting in there if you go to like the advanced settings. Sometimes there's other speeds and timings you can select. Can't say I've ever seen anyone wear gloves while doing this kind of work. It keeps like stuff from my fingers getting on everything, you know. It keeps everything nice and clean. You don't want oils from your fingers all over everybody's stuff, you know. I want a big difference, but the 5080 is too expensive. Yeah, the 9070 XT is perfect. I mean, it may be not quite enough for some 4K gaming, depending on, you know, how high you're trying to run your resolution, or how high you're trying to run your settings. But in general, it's a great card. You have an 8700K baller. Event viewer said CPU core faults each crash. Give me a heart attack. Think I got a faulty CPU. Oh, that's scary. All right, let's put this right around there. Right there. Asus was frying some X3D CPUs specifically. I know ASRock was having that problem too. DOCP1 works well for that RAM that does not have those. Oh yeah, that's true. I haven't seen a 5070 at around 500 to 600 for a while. Yeah, I thought they were in the 600s now. Micro Center has Zotacs. I want a Micro Center. We don't have those around here. I want one. Flow Stay, thank you for all those likes, dude. Appreciate you. I got a 5080 and went from the 9070 XT. Really? You like the 9070 XT better? I know you were like testing them both for a while. BRB, I'm looking that up ASAP. My nearest Micro Center is a 12-hour drive. All right. All the bolts are in. Bolt it down. Wait. All the bolts are not in. I'm missing one. It's because it's hiding down here. There we go. Alrighty, let's get our CPU cooler fans and stuff plugged in. Got this guy for the fans themselves. So run that down. It's a little too dark. All right, that's a CPU fan. Okay. It's like right above the RAM and it's super tight. Sorry, you guys can't see what I'm doing, but I also can't see what I'm doing. I want to try and get this in there without taking the RAM out, but we might have to take the RAM out. This is called poor planning. I mean, it's definitely not the end of the world. It's super easy to remedy this, but I just can't see. All right, taking the RAM out. Okay. Now I should have pretty good access. Go. Okay. Got that. Let's get our RGB in there as well. It's up in this top right corner. That's our pump header. All right. I'm gonna leave those out for a second. I'm gonna get the pump installed, and then we'll run our pump header into that spot. Otherwise, I'd have to take the RAM out again, probably. Let's get our thermal paste on. Okay. Whew. It's getting warm in here. You got two? Dang. Comes to price performance, yes. 9070 XT performs better, but recent drivers been given issues to many. Interesting. Just built your first PC, so I don't want to pretend that I know of the 5070 better than the 9070 XT performance-wise is better than 5070. You know, ignoring potential driver issues. When I've read ASUS's issues were typically stemming from old BIOS versions. I believe they changed the limits on auto-tuning and PBO shortly after the 9800X3D was released. So it's probably people who'd never updated and slowly wore out their systems. W1K, oh, we got 1K likes. Thank you so much, Flow State. You're the man. 5070 would probably be better for the general public because AMD is kind of hit or miss with the 9000 drivers right now. I never really had any problems with mine, but that's fair. Yeah, I agree with Mean Dean. Like, they're both good cards. You will likely be happy with the performance of either. Unless you're like, yeah, just constantly looking at an FPS monitor. Both are perfectly capable of gaming at 1440p. 4K is a little bit much for either card, depending on the game you're playing. But but they both are able to play some 4K as well. Get rid of some of that excess. All right. You're welcome, Dark. Just remember that AIOs usually last 5 years. The air cooler I have is probably 10 years old. Nice, yeah. Yeah, AIOs, I mean, no matter what, they're gonna lose a little bit of coolant through evaporation over time. And obviously, like, the pump is a moving component, and so it eventually will fail. So yeah, you know, keep that in mind. Like, a lot of people like the looks and everything of AIOs, so and I mean, performance-wise, they're really good. But, you know, some people, that part of it is not the concern, and they want their stuff to just last forever. Okay. That's so weird. The MSI is going to be mounted sideways. Oh, I can probably pop that off, huh? Does that come off? Let's check. Yep, it comes off. Got it. All right, there we go. Now, I can mount this baby up. Okay, got that one started. Let's go opposite corner. That one started. That one started. That one is, oh, come on. There we go. Okay, should all be started now. Hey, what's up, Lorenzo? Miata with the follow, thank you. My opinion, if you're not ready for a cosmetic upgrade within 5 years, you're a phony. Meaning, that's just because you upgrade your system every like 3 months. But I kind of agree. I do kind of agree with that, though. I need to run these up to the top. Grab them. Playing by feel here. Okay. All right. So we got those in there. This guy is our RGB header that we used for the CPU cooler fans. We're going to plug the CPU cooler block into that. And then this is our AIO pump header. So this is going to run our water pump, and that is right over here. Okay, got that plugged in. Now we can put our RAM back in. Now I have this at an angle. You guys can't see what I'm doing. I'm sorry. Okay. Get that one seated. Okay. I got our little NSI badge. We can put it the right way. Okay. Plastic off. Cool. All right. Let's do a little cable management work here on the back. All right. So we've got all of the things that are going to be getting plugged in up here are now plugged in. So we can cable manage in a little bit more earnest. Okay. Grab a little zip tie for this guy. Come on. There we go. Okay. Don't have another cable tie spot between those, so let's grab one here. Ava edits with the follow. Thank you, thank you. Nice build. The case is overkill, dude. The case, I mean, it's probably a little bit bigger than necessary, but the case is actually really reasonably priced, though. This is like a $70 case. So, like, price-wise, this case is perfect. I agree, it's definitely bigger than it needs to be, but that's, you know, that's never a big deal. Because then you get, you know, better airflow and more opportunity to upgrade over time. Of course, it's nice for me because it's easier to build in, but, you know, that's not the point. It's about upgradability. It's not about me. The case for this build is the Thermaltake View 270 Plus. It's the version that has the pre-installed ARGB fans. So these two here and the exhaust fan on the back are pre-installed. Okay, I got all that stuff plugged in. It's really, it's GPU time, guys. It's all managed. Let's get our GPU in here. I have a weird office desk that has space at my left side, so I can't see the internals of my computer unless I rotate and blow hot air into me. If you use the Be Quiet light base, I think is the name, they actually like configure that. There's a couple others too, but they configure it so like you can actually like flip the whole thing around. There's a couple of cases out there that can do that. My English is dying. It's 1 a.m. No problem, dude. No problem. Make your desk can fit. It's way oversized. This is honestly not that big of a computer case. Like, I use way bigger cases in people's systems all the time. Like if someone wants a smaller, like if they tell me like, hey, I need a smaller system, like, you know, I've got, you know, limited space, or I just want a smaller build, like we can do that. But you know, this is a very middle of the road size for a PC case, believe it or not. At least for a gaming system. I drool watching the fan spin when I get bored instead of staring at the desktop. O11 Mini is fairly small compared to the O11 XL. Yeah, I have the old O11 XL is huge. Darn near half the size of the OG O11. Yeah, it's still a little bit deep, but it is a much smaller overall footprint for sure. All right, so this is a 2-slot card, so we need to take out 2 of these guys. I've got a video with the build in Red's Discord. Just scroll back and look through the PC build section. Yeah, general chat. Okay, let's get all of these plastic things off of here. There's probably going to be a lot of it. Okay, get that bit off. Let's grab it over here. All right, this is, oh, this one doesn't actually go underneath that. Okay, cool. The last card I built with this plastic went underneath this shield, and I actually had to remove the shield in order to get it all off. This is not underneath there, so we're good. Okay, plastic off of the fans. Cool. And this always looks to me like it's plastic, but I've never successfully pulled plastic off of this, so we're just gonna trust that is not a plastic cover. I've tried like 4 different times, like on 4 different GPUs, and never once gotten it off on these Asus Primes. I don't think it actually is meant to come off. The Thermaltake Suppressor F51 was the best case. Saw it in person, felt nice to touch. I don't think I've ever seen that. Just gonna shift that up for a second. Let's make sure this is open. It is. All right. Got that seated. And a couple of these K bolts that are the same as the power supply bolts. Okay. Put our little cover thing back on there. Got our little dust covers back on. Okay. Time for this. I like laying PC flat for the GPU. I like to live life on the edge. No, I don't know. I've just done this so many times. I've just done it so many times, you know. At some point you just... Cool! The tab for the plastic came off, but the plastic itself did not come off. Okay. Okay. gently get it off. There we go. Got it. Cool. That tiny little piece of plastic. You guys can't even see that, can you? Look at that. That tiny little thing. Alright. So this guy... Ooh, is this going to be too deep? Are we going to be able to use this? Oh, that's a bummer. I really wanted to use this. I looked at the direction, and the direction was the way I wanted to go. But I didn't think about... That thing is inset like a full 2 inches. Well, that's dumb. Alright. Well, we're not including that, I guess. Guess we'll just have to do that in a different build. Good news is this isn't a customer build yet. I mean, it will be someday. But so it's not like I have to order another one if I don't want to, because they get what they get. Gotta see my BIOS config. Yeah, I don't do the like software and configuration stuff on stream just because it takes forever and it's boring and I like to watch TV while I do it. That part is probably more about me than it is about making the content, but all right. There we have it, folks. That's a nice little build, huh? That was a nice little, in today's economy, mid-range gaming system. I'm really sad that this didn't work. Well, I mean, it worked, but it doesn't work with this GPU. But I think it's still gonna look super clean. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. What do you guys think of that? What do we think of that? I'm gonna turn this rear light off just so you can get, maybe it doesn't get washed out so bad. I like that the gray on the MSI like CPU cooler kind of matches up with the silver on the motherboard. Just nice little subtle. Nice subtle, you know, different coloring to it. I get only Pulsar. Pulsar? For what? I'm brand loyal to them since 2023. Chad, did somebody tried mouses from AliExpress or Temu and planning to buy something that looks solid? Because Logitech's way too expensive. What kind of mouse are you looking for? Turn it on. All right, everyone, put your favorite emoji in the chat, and then we'll turn this baby on. Americans have it easier, not gonna lie, over here at Southeast Europe, fighting and praying we won't get scammed. We don't have Micro Center, have to rely on online shopping. Yeah, dude, it's tough. It's tough. I feel for that. I use Amazon and Newegg a lot, like Amazon Business and Newegg and Newegg Business. But I also have other ways of getting stuff. I don't have Micro Center either, sadly. Oh, you use Pulsar mouse. Oh. I mean, mid-range is definitely the way to go, for sure. Creepy Comrade, thank you. Thank you. Love that. What up, Max? Appreciate that. Watch Newegg closely. They've almost always have good deals. They do. All right, come on. I think we can get at least 3 more. I think we can get at least 3 more emotes before we fire this baby up. From different people, 3 different people dropping an emoji. Come on. I'm watching you too, TikTok. I really like, I know you're asking about Pulsar. I really like the Logitech G703 Lightspeed. Not to plug another creator, ZTT Deals sends out affiliate links. Oh, that's really cool. I should probably do that. Also problems with shipping. Some refuse to ship to certified countries outright. That's crazy. Mean Dean, how you like that emo? Hold on. I need to see what that is. It doesn't show me on here. $10. Thank you so much, Mean Dean. You the best. Certain countries. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I have their Demon Slayer collection. Demon Slayer. All right, fine. I'll just turn it on. Just turn it on because you guys refuse to throw emotes in the chat. All right, let's give you a quick reminder of what's in the system. We got a Ryzen 5 9600X, got 16 gigs of CL32 6400 DDR5 RAM, 1 terabyte SSD. It's a Patriot. We've got the 9060 XT 8 gigabyte, 240 millimeter IO from MSI Mag. We've got the MSI B850 Gaming Plus Wi-Fi motherboard, Thermaltake View 270, and we've got a Montech Century 850 watt power supply with the one Asia Horse cable extension because, yeah. Anyways, first ever power on of our first ready to ship system. There it is. That's the start of your Micro Center gas fund. Thank you. I'm gonna be, I'm going to Fort Worth for Loot Fest, so I probably will make a stop at the Dallas Micro Center, even though it's not really on the way. But it's only like 30 minutes away, so it's a lot faster. Or it's a lot closer than if I were to go myself from home. What do we think of that? Like, that looks pretty clean, right? Looks pretty clean. And let me bring down... Let's bring down those lights just a little bit. Hopefully you can see inside a little bit better. Doesn't that just look so good? Oh, camera's freaking out because I'm not in it. I'm not in the screen. Hold on. There. Got a few 7600 bundles for $370 while you're there. Oh, the 7600X 3Ds? Dude, I should. Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing with this build. I mean, you guys are here, so you get, yo, for the 500 biddies. Thank you so much, Trailtech. Let me talk you through some of the selection for this. So there was an incredible deal from Newegg. It came with a combo of 9600X, the MSI B850 Gaming Plus Wi-Fi motherboard that we have in here. That AIO came in it for free, and it came with a slow timinged 6016 gig kit of RAM for a savings of like $200. So 240 honestly is overkill for a 6-core CPU anyways, but since it was free and it looks really good, that's why we went with a 240. 360 is always nice, but yeah. How you get those bundles? Like, how do I get the bundles story? You just got to keep an eye on Newegg's website, to be honest, or have like some sort of alerts on like their Twitter maybe. Dude, like, doesn't that look so good? Doesn't that just look so good? I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I don't see... Maybe the RGB is just really subtle on the cable extension. I want to look at it. I can't tell. I don't think that RGB is on. It did post though, I can see that. Let me just double check that RGB cable is plugged in properly and stuff. Make sure it didn't get unplugged somehow. Definitely plugged in on that side. Pretty sure it's this guy on this side. Yeah, it's plugged in. Does that make it look different at all? Not really. Let me try plugging this straight into the header, because we have one more open header. And see if it turns on. It's wrapped around a cable over there. There we go. Huh. Definitely fully seated on both sides. What if we try this cable? Try the cable from the other one. Plug it in here. Does that work? Nope, it looks the same. Okay, maybe we just need to configure it in the Windows or something. I can double check this one too, just to see if what it looks like. So okay, let's just see if this guy turns on at all. Nothing on that one either. So yeah, maybe there's some sort of configuration or something I need to do, because that one didn't turn on either. I mean, maybe it needs to be powered, plugged in to get powered on, but all right. Nope, it does not come with, the case does not come with reverse fans, unfortunately. It's kind of the price you pay for the price point, you know. Okay, so we'll have to figure out the RGB on that extension cable, but other than that, this thing looks real good. Oh, it just came on. There we go. Maybe it just wasn't quite fully seated. There we go. So yeah, now we have RGB. There's a little RGB ring right there. I don't know if you guys can see that at all. It might be kind of drowned out by the other stuff, but there is RGB on that motherboard power cable now. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. 9950X3D with 32 gigs DDR5 plus free duster 650. That's not bad. And for gaming mouse, basically for MOBOS and shootings with 12 DPIs, I'm fine, I think. The reflection on the heatsink made it look sick. You have 9 fans in yours? Dude. What up, Warfliper? How we doing? X3D motherboard, 16 gigs RAM is $350? That's crazy. That's a crazy deal. It is like adult Legos, Andre. Will you install Windows on it? Have you considered picking LTSC? It will have Windows 11 on it. What is LTSC? Is that a specific Windows distro? Or ISO? How much of this build? How much is this build? This build will be, I think, I have to look at it one more time. I think it's like $15.30 plus tax, or plus shipping, which within the US is around 100 bucks. And this will be on the website by the end of the week. Oh, really, Mindy? This is my first time using them. Thoughts on Atlas OS? honestly, like maybe if I was using it myself, but like I'm not going to put that burden on a customer that like if they're not willing to build their own PC, they're probably not willing to like deal with their own like Linux OS or anything like that, you know. What I do is I install Windows 11 Pro and then I run in the Windows 11 debloater, and that pulls out a bunch of like the nonsense out of Windows 11 to make it run a little better. Long-term support channel comes with no bloat too. I just use standard Windows 11 Pro, and then I pull out the bloat with Windows 11 debloater. Thoughts on an SFF build? I enjoy doing SFF builds. They're it's a lot more painstaking to select components to make sure it all works. But I got to get someone to buy one first. One of the Lootfest builds is a smaller form factor build. Like it's like a small MATX build. Not quite SFF, but it'll look pretty cool. Yeah. I might look at it. I used Spectre OS for a while for customer builds, but I've since reverted back to just Windows 11 Pro and doing the debloater. It's called Windows 11 debloater. Like if you search that, you'll get a link to GitHub and you can download it. It cuts out like all sorts of nonsense that Windows comes with pre-installed. When I say high, I mean somewhere in the area of 10% after 2 years. Oh yeah, it's not terrible. But yeah, it's definitely higher than like you would want, right? Yeah, the Terra, dude, the Fractal Terra is so cool. I love that case. Any GPU stand? This one didn't come with one. Realistically, this is a very light GPU. You really don't need it. You could put you could put one in there if you want to, but it's not really necessary with how light this GPU is. If this was like a 5070 or 5080 or something like that, we would definitely have to put one in there. But this 9060 XT is so light, you really don't need it. Yeah, you have to do a lot of research for SFF builds for sure. Didn't encounter any of these recent Windows 11 update issues where Task Manager wouldn't close, yada yada, but it's basically just an almost clean OS. That's cool. Yeah. NZXT just released their new SFX case. Okay. I used to hate NZXT cases because their airflow was always so garbage. But in the last like 3 years, they've started making some really good stuff. Like really good. All right, y'all. I think that's it for tonight. Fingers crossed they don't spontaneously combust. Right? Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up and then we'll get out of here. Yeah, they really do. Honestly, the problem is like you can't separate the company from like what they're doing with their pre-builds. Like the whole rent a system thing is just so out of pocket. Everything, like you can watch, I think Jay's 2 Cents did a video on how ridiculous that program is. I'm sure Gamers Nexus has done it too, but it's like a racket, man. I don't really like what NZXT has done on their business. But yeah, whatever. GG's, another great build. Thank you so much, Mean Dean. It is very predatory, 100%. I'd install it for free. Microsoft should fix their operating system and stop stuffing in AI garbage. You're not wrong there. But the investors, we must please the investors. That's true. I probably own Microsoft stock right now. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Autopilot. It auto trades for you. So like I have mine set up where it auto trades based on Nancy Pelosi's trading. It's incredible. It's not doing super well right now, which is crazy, but whatever. It's a pain when you have to buy Windows. It is. It is a pain. I hope that the AI bubble is truly a bubble and it will come crashing down, and then we can have our PCs for cheap again. But unfortunately, I don't know if or when that will happen. All right, y'all. I had fun tonight. I hope you guys had a good time. Glad we got some questions answered for people. Got to see a pretty sweet build put together, even though it's not the perfect build for everyone, but hopefully it's the perfect build for someone, at least enough for them to buy it. Because this is going on the website. If you know anyone that's looking for a nice mid-range build, then yeah, tell them about this one, because it's going to be up there and it's going to be ready to ship in the near future. All right, y'all. Have a great night, or early morning if you're somewhere in the UK, Europe, or even east of there. And we'll see you on the next one. All right, we're probably gonna have another build maybe late this week. All right. Goodbye. Thank you. Yes, make sure you follow Andre so you can see it again. All right. Hit that subscribe button for me. All right. All right. Have a good night, everybody.